And last Friday, the whole City Hall sold out for NGW. How many fans were there, Stevie?
I was told over 800. I don't know the exact number.
Okay, 800 fans, but you know what? Solid show. I mean, you enjoy it?
It was a lot of fun, yeah, as it always is at the whole City Hall. Yeah, good crowd, big crowd. I think was it the second biggest one since COVID. It was classed as it was sold out. I know there was the upper tier right at the top of the whole City Hall that wasn't open, but aside from that, big crowd was still great, and yeah, a lot of fun as always. We can obviously delve into that and go into more detail.
Absolutely, of course. I mean, the new champions were crowned. Even somebody who made it a big name for himself will get into all that type of stuff. But as always, let's roll that intro, shall we? You know, it's funny. You're actually becoming a bit of a regular on this show now.
I know I need my name on the credits. I was just watching them there. I love that intro, by the way. Who did that? I don't know if you've talked about that, the 3D and everything. You did that?
Yeah.
Wow. You don't want to share your secrets about how you did that? Or...
I'll tell you after the show. I'll trust you enough.
You tell me after the show. Don't...
Oh, dear. Now, of course, Stevie, we're obviously on Thursday, my friend. How's the week going so far?
It's going well. I've been to vote. I trust you have.
I have, yes.
Oh, okay.
We're not going 2 minutes in getting political, by the way.
We're not getting political at all. No, there was a big turnout there. As I say, I've made a joke about it on Facebook because I do worry about some of the people that go to vote, but I'm not going to judge. There might be intelligent people.
Not at all. Not at all. So, yeah, I mean, today, obviously, we're talking about NGW Ultimate Showdown, which is obviously from the whole City Hall. Now, yep. I mentioned, obviously, before we came on the air, 3 different venues, obviously, I've been to, but you still get that same feel regardless of where it is. I mean, you've got to admit, Stevie, you've obviously worked for NGW for quite a while. The following's really, really good when it comes to them.
It is. It's, particularly in Hull. The fans that used to go to the old Airco Arena when NGW was based there, 10 years ago or however long ago it was, we moved to the Hull City Hall. There were reasons behind that, which, I won't get into here. We can get into that another day if you wanted. It's a real loyal following. I always it's one of the only places where I can get stopped in the street. Everybody looks over, they recognize, I'm not bragging about this, but I'm just saying it's a really loyal following. Particularly when there's a wrestler with me, we'll get stopped in the street or, wherever we might end up before or after the event. And they know everything that's going on. They know all of the storylines. They know everything that's, gone on for years and years. They recognize people. And they're not even what you'd class as indie wrestling fans or even, Brit Rest fans, whatever that means. They are NGW fans. And you've got to remember, they had a television show, going back on Estuary. Their matches were shown on Challenge TV, which I'm, really proud to have been a part of at the time when they had the old Wrestle Talk TV show. And, families seem to have grown up with it. It's a family crowd. You don't hear about it as much as other promotions on social media, as we've talked about as well. But in the whole area, they see everybody as a star, which is exactly what you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the name Ultimate Showdown now, obviously on wrestling shows, we hear the name Showdown a lot. I mean, is this a name obviously what's like stuck, or is it just like over years?
They've used it a few times, yeah. Do you know the song, The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny? Mm-hmm. You know that one, right? Yeah. It always pops into my head when I'm doing it. But yeah, they brought the name back. Big events in the past. Again, Hull City Hall, one of the key events, along with the anniversary show. This year was kind of the focus on bringing back Ultimate Showdown rather than doing just an anniversary show in name. And of course, Eternal Glory being the big one. The other one being the Destiny name. There's been a few names that they've used. But yeah, this is it does have tradition and does have a history.
Absolutely. So a couple of talking points before we obviously get into the match breakdown. Obviously, on this show, there was obviously history made. Obviously, the first ever women's champion crown. Is there a reason, obviously, why it took so long? Is it just like the women as a whole? I don't know, no disrespect to women, of course.
I mean, it's no secret. I'm not on the creative team of NGW or anything like that. All I can tell you from my experience, the way I understand it, is for a long time in NGW, the women were presented as more of an attraction. There was no real sort of women's league or division or whatever you want to call it. I think that again, the company has strived to use the best talent in the country, and I'm not knocking other women's wrestlers at all. Please don't think that. But it was just looking for that right time, I think, where who would be the person, who would be the champion, would there be, there needed to be a dispute between two people, and there was, and unfortunately we didn't get the match that we were hoping for, but hopefully, it still worked out for the fans. I think they would have agreed that, both matches and the wrestlers that were used were of the standard. So, we wish Alexis Falcon well, and I hope she's back because, she is, first and foremost, the health's more important than anything else. And I don't know the setup of the injury, but she is homegrown. She is from Hull. And just to have that dispute with Lizzie Evo, I think it was the right time to create that championship. There's probably been talk in the past, like I say, I don't know for sure, but now you have the first ever NGW Women's Champion, and it's as simple as that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a surprising person who made an appearance, and I remember messaging you when I was queuing it, was Brady Phillips.
Brady Phillips, you've seen him before the events. We tried to get him. We tried to kick him out, but no, it was impossible. He was there. He was there as a big surprise for many people. Again, with a lot of the fans only watching NGW, might not have recognized him. Obviously, I did. I mentioned that over the microphone, and he took liberties, took advantage, and we'll talk about that when we go into detail with the card. But he was there. Yeah, big surprise.
The funny thing is when I see obviously Brady and I see Ivan, I'm thinking, okay, what they're doing. It's happened obviously before.
Right,
you see Brady. But yeah, I mean, Brady's obviously great, obviously in his own right. He's an incredible performer. He's truly the guy's got his character down to a T. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. I think that's just him. He just have that cocky attitude. He's very much out for himself. Or maybe with Ivy, I don't know. But he's definitely not a fan favorite. We've seen him and thought he might be a fan favorite in the past in other places as we've talked about on this show. But it's not the case, unfortunately.
Not at all. Not at all. So let's obviously get to the show, shall we? Now, we knew this guy was going to be on the show eventually at some point, and it's, of course, Ace Matthews.
Get rid of him.
Nasty. Yes, nasty that he interrupted you, by the way. I was really annoyed at that.
I was as well. Yeah, I'm going through the cards, and Ace Matthews' music hits, and he comes out. It's amazing, these wrestlers that have got the power over the sound people. I don't know how they manage to, they must hold a gun to their heads and say, play my tune, I'm going out. But that's exactly what he did. And yeah.
The surprising thing is, obviously, we had an impromptu match with, obviously, the champion.
Yeah,
and I've got to be honest. I mean, Ace really surprised me. I was expecting a bit of a squash match, I will be honest, but he really did put up a good showing. What did you think?
Ace Matthews, he's been going around. Well, he's a good guy at heart. I mean, he's a pain in the backside. I mean, make no mistake about it. That is 100% him. His persona that he perceives, maybe exaggerated a tiny bit, but I'm not taking away anything from his in-ring ability. What he can do, he's more than capable, and he's slowly making an impact on NGW events, particularly ones where he's not invited, he's not booked to wrestle. He's caused problems for Rampage and Adam Maxted as well, for those who have been following things. He's making out that he's he's on the side of Adam Maxted, and I don't think Maxted wants anything to do with him. Rampage obviously eliminated him last year in the Battle Royal to determine the number 1 contender at Eternal Glory, and you've seen him intervening here and causing problems for the champion Matt Myers, and he did cause a lot of problems and possibly an injury as well, as you see.
Yeah, I think I got the thing here. Match was about 8 minutes 30. The weird thing is with wrestling shows, and so you get the time, it doesn't feel like that. Joe, that time, does that make sense?
Did it feel shorter?
It felt a little bit longer, we'll be honest.
A little bit longer. So I was going to say, if it was shorter, they succeeded. If it was longer, I don't know. No, I mean, both guys are capable. I joke there. Matt Myers, it's great, and Ace Matthews, they're going to put in an innings. There was no clear winner, obviously, because of the interference from Brady Phillips attacking both men. So the match was rightfully thrown out. I believe by Rich Swift, right? Or did Rich ref that one?
Yeah.
Or...
Yes, I think it was
Rich.
I think it was. Yep.
Okay. I'm right.
Yep.
I remember. But yeah, Brady Phillips getting involved like a security. Doesn't work for NGW, though his status with the company may have become apparent later in the evening, which we'll talk about. So
yeah, and the thing is, I mean, I remember the reaction, obviously, when Brady appeared. It was kind of mixed. It's kind of like some people knew who he was. Obviously, I know who he was from other promotions. There were some fans who didn't. Was that the reaction you'd hope for, really? Like a mixed one?
I think so. I think it's cool when sometimes, a few people in the crowd recognize somebody and they get excited and like, I knew who that is. It kind of takes me back to being a fan when you used to watch. It was mostly Nitro that used to happen, wasn't it? Where someone from the WF would cross over. But yeah, it's a cool reaction. I think it's the right reaction both ways. I think if the majority, who's that? Who's he? Oh, we don't like him. He's attacking the champion. And then you've got others who are like, that's Brady Phillips. What's he doing here? What's going to happen? I think it's really cool. And if you noticed a few people doing both, I think it's the right reaction. It's just noise. It's not, it's not so much jeers, although it turned into jeers when you realize his the reason why he's there, I should say. But yeah, it's all cool reactions like that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. He'll make another appearance, which we'll talk about later on. Now, we mentioned the Alexis Falcon injury, and I remember reading it. It was obviously pretty bad. So the question I had was, what are NGW going to do, obviously, to replace? Because you're still going to have a title match, and boy, did you guys absolutely deliver.
Yeah.
Rio versus Nina Samuels. I mean, I'm a massive fan, obviously, of Nina Samuels. Rio's obviously great in her own right. I remember saying to you, let's make it triple threat, and you're like, no.
I'm not keen on that idea. I mean, that could happen now, given what we've seen. But yeah, I mean, Nina Samuels is, I've seen wrestle for a long while now, and she's unbelievable. Rio is so lovely. Every conversation I've had with her, she's just such a nice, bubbly person, and to see them, lock on, so to speak, again, two people that I think could main event, and it's a cliche, but they could main event anywhere in the country. And going back to Matt Myers and Ace Matthews, they may have even, I don't know, they may have main evented somewhere else in the country. So this is the caliber of talent I think we're talking about here, and the idea that one of them gets to wrestle Lizzie later in the night. Lizzie obviously coming out and sitting in the chair to see, who her opponent's going to be.
Try nicking your chair.
Try nicking my chair. She did, yeah. She just likes giving me hell all the time anyway. But I think it was intriguing, even though, it was clear that Rio's more of the fan favorite. You never quite know. Given her persona and everything, I could easily see people cheering Nina Samuels over Lizzie Effort. Oh, don't tell her I said that. But yeah, that was the story.
Yeah, and the good thing about this match is I would have been happy whoever won, because I'm a massive fan of these both. And obviously, I've took my sister as well, and she really enjoyed this match. She said this was a match of the night. But
oh, really?
Yeah, massive fan. And yeah, I mean, obviously Rio went on to basically win, but like you said, it was one of those where either one could have won, and I think it could have been the right result because they're just absolutely great talent.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. So next up, we got, and I didn't really expect this match being so soon, which is, of course, Team Warfare. Now, scary thing is with this match is 6 out of the 8 competitors have been on this show.
Who do you need to get? Who do you need to cross off?
Styx and Colossus.
Styx and Colossus. I mean, what's Styx going to be doing these days? He might do it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned obviously the fan base and stuff like that. Now, obviously, storyline basis, new gen versus the original. This has been the big story for as long as I can obviously remember watching NGW.
Yeah, so the new gen, obviously the cocky upstarts with Miles Kamen in the corner, Reese and Rogan, and obviously now Vusic as well. Are there others possibly? You know that the feel that they feel somewhat betrayed by the ethos of the new generation wrestling name, saying that, well, you know, this is the old generation now. You know, guys like Nathan Cruz and Dara Diablo, they're part of the old NGW. We're the new NGW. And then for Colossus and Styx to come back as, you know, one of Britain's biggest tag teams. This storyline, you know, months and months in the making, years in the making even. And, you know, going back to the cage match last year with Kamen and Nathan Cruz, and now things have really come to a head here. Obviously, we've seen what happened in the East Mount. We covered that event earlier this year. And now, just to explain, I hope I explained the rules all right, Liam. I can do it a bit more casually now. I'm sure you understood that. Did you find that confusing if you've never seen Team Warfare before? Because this is a NGW gimmick. This is their baby.
Yeah, well, this kind of makes me obviously a valid point because the rules obviously wasn't announced till the day of the show. Does that go in the fans' favor because now you're wondering what the rules are?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, if you've followed NGW before, you'll have a vague idea. The way I used to describe this and announce this, I used to kind of tell people that it's kind of like a Royal Rumble. It's kind of like a Survivor Series. I didn't say that this time because Survivor Series obviously has changed over the last few years. They haven't done the 8-man elimination matches, but that's the basic idea. It's an 8-man elimination match, but it's kind of like, you know, War Games as well without the 2 rings and the cage. So 2 guys begin. Then the team with the advantage sends in, you know, their next guy, and then there's another 2 minutes. The opposing team sends in their next guy, but it's elimination throughout. And then obviously at the end, the remaining members of one team are declared the winners. So that's basically the gist of it.
Interesting. The one thing I like about this is when obviously Miles come out first. Immediately, I said to myself, Cruz is coming out next. You're starting like with the 2 main guys. Does that make sense?
He had to, didn't he? I mean, even if that wasn't their plan, they're like, you know, we got to send Cruz out. He's next. We're changing our plans. You know, Dara, you hold back, sending out Cruz to take out Miles. Yeah, I mean, you know, they had to start. They were there at the beginning, and not to jump ahead, but they were there at the end. And, you know, it's just classic wrestling storytelling, I think.
Absolutely. So the order was as followed: Miles, followed by Cruz, followed by Reese, followed by Styx, followed by Rogan, followed by Dara, followed by Vusic, followed by Colossus. And the thing is, and I completely overlooked this until obviously we're doing the notes, Styx's last match. Wow. I mean, what a way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, and as he said, you know, after the match and everything, I don't know if that footage will be available. It'd be nice if it is, but it was a nice send-off, which I don't think he knew about, where all the other faces on his team got to say something nice about Styx and his impact on them. But yeah, you know, I've known Styx for many, many years. You know, I worked with him, you know, I don't know when the first time was. It was long before NGW, perhaps in the FWA, somewhere like RQW even before then. I don't know. I'd have to jog my memory a little bit, but, you know, good guy, great guy, great look, trained so many people. Obviously, he's got his training school and everything, and he seems to be happy to go out like this with NGW, which is awesome for them, I think, and a real compliment to everyone involved over the years with NGW.
And obviously, you got a standing ovation at the end. It was probably one of the proudest moments for me as a wrestling fan, you know, seeing that.
Yeah, it's just kind of nice, you know, and you know what people mean to others within wrestling. you know, on the scene, no matter, you know, where you go, what you've done, and all of the people in that match, their careers have gone all over the place, the ups and the downs and everything. And when you see somebody that you know or you've known for, I should rephrase that, someone you've known for a long time who's been there and helped you, you know, evolve, just to see a friendly face sometimes, you know, when I see people and I've known them for 20 years and the, you know, in the dressing room or whatever, it's just cool to sort of be around people like that. And it's nice to even be in the, you know, the match and for it to really mean something. And I think it did. I hope it did, to the fans as well. I got the impression it did. And, you know, they were really tired at halftime. It was a good thing that was the halftime break after that match, because I don't think Team Warfare could have gone on first.
Not at all. And what's some, obviously, your memories, obviously, with Sticks? You know what I mean? We were a bit ahead on time, so...
There's just so many. Like I say, he was just so solid, and I remember him. It's a story for him to tell, with all due respect, because he did tell me a good story, his experience, you know, having a tryout with the WWE once, and just a really reliable guy with a good look, you know, during a time I can think where not everybody had such a good look. And again, that's not a knock on anybody else, but, you know, he really worked out, and he was just a real friendly guy, and he was lovely to my wife Laura. Actually, I remember one particular event when he was there, and they were talking, and just really friendly to everybody. He's great, and I know his family were there as well for his last match. Yeah, just a really sweet guy. The opposite of the persona that he was in the ring a lot of the time back in the FWA days. I think he said, didn't he, that he's never been a rule breaker in NGW. It's a sad you never got to see of him, but I do remember him doing that persona in FWA. Yeah, just a lovely bloke, and I wish him the best. And if anyone's looking for a training school, you know, you could go much worse than the what is it? The House of Pain, the Hardcore. House of Pain in Birmingham, right? I forgot that right.
I think so. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
we'll check that before, because I don't want to send people to the wrong place. But if you're going to train to be a wrestler, and if anyone's watching this, and I don't know if any wannabe wrestlers would be watching this, but if just in case, you never know, Liam, we might kickstart someone's career here. I think you know, getting in touch with someone like Styx isn't a bad move.
Absolutely. So I'm just looking at the times, you know, with the eliminations. So
obviously, I just wanted to add there, Liam, before we got talking about Styx. Did you notice nobody was actually eliminated before, you know, the last person entered, which was Colossus, right? So it's you know, it's an interesting match. It's not like War Games where you wait for the match beyond, so to speak. It's, you know, it is elimination, and it can happen at any point during the match. But it didn't happen until everyone was in.
Yeah, the weird thing is, obviously, R&R over Styx 16:48, but like it feels like 30 seconds later, Colossus went. So I think the weird thing is the eliminations happened so quick. It was really weird.
Yeah. It got so, it broke down, and the referees losing control and everything, and, you know, elimination, and yeah, that's how it went.
And the scary part is it ended up being Cruz against, I think it was 3 members. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
So so Reese was pinned, right? And then it was down to who was on the new gen team. So obviously it was Miles Kamen, Rogan,
Vusic,
right? Vusic. So Vusic is eliminated by Cruz. Am I right?
Yep. 21-33. Yep.
21. He had a bit of a comeback, and then really, Cruz didn't eliminate Rogan at all. Not in the traditional sense. It was a DQ. When Rogan decided to use the chair. So then it comes down to Cruz against Miles Kamen. And then what did you think of that? Well, that was a surprise ending, right?
No, for me personally, when it got down to the last 2, I'm thinking Miles is going to go over. And the only reason I thought that was because of what happened in December.
Yeah. It was time. It was time to make a new guy. Yeah. And Miles Kamen, you know, love him, loathe him. A lot of people don't like him. He took advantage of a situation, and I believe he did Nathan Cruz's finisher on him as well. So, yeah,
it was absolutely. I mean, yeah, I love that ending, by the way, because I'm thinking Miles. Because I mean, I'm a big fan of Miles. We've had Miles on the show, as we mentioned, and I feel like he's definitely going to be one who's going to. He's going to do well in the next few years.
He's so young. He's what is he? 22, 23, if that.
About that.
Scary.
It is very, very scary. Let's be honest. Now,
yeah,
of course,
30-minute match, right?
Yes, 32
wow.
29.
There you go. Was that the Ultimate Showdown? We still had 2 more matches that could have been Ultimate Showdown. So,
yeah. Now, for everyone who's obviously followed these review shows, the one thing I've always talked about every single time is what match goes on after the interval. And to put this match on, I think was really, 1, a good move, and 2, it's 2 incredible talents. Do you know what I mean? Of course, I'm talking about Robbie X and Jack Bandicoot. 2 great high flyers. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, they're going to go all out. This is a Gen X league match. And if you don't know what that is, it basically means that all the matches have 10-minute time limits. We were doing this long before the WWE started doing this 3-minute thing. I don't know what that is, you know, but this is the all 10-minute time limits. So it is still a tight time limit. But you get to see some great matches in the Gen X division, Gen X League. And yeah, we need a new champion. We currently don't have one. Robbie X was a Gen X League champion. Both men, obviously, big fan favorites. Jack Bandicoot, he went all out as well because they only had 10 minutes. It's just unfortunate that it went to a time limit draw, which does happen on occasion. But you get to see the fastest and most furious action of all. But Jack Bandicoot nearly got the win. He nearly beat Robbie X, and had he done that, that would have been a huge coup in his cap.
Absolutely. And the funny thing was, when it went to a draw and Robbie mentioned like 5 more minutes, I'm like, okay, we're getting 5 more minutes. And I'm thinking, yes, I could. I mean, I could watch Robbie X matches for half an hour. You know what I mean? He's a great guy. Same with Jack. And it's like, okay, we're getting 5 more minutes. But unfortunately, Stevie, we didn't get 5 more minutes, did we?
No. Vucic turned up again.
But he made a statement, let's be honest.
He did make a statement, and he's got a real problem with the Gen X League and everything. He's had his issues with both of these men. So we just have to see where it'll go from there.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I mean, I spoke to Vucic a few weeks back, and the one thing I said to Vucic, and I want to get your opinion on this, that guy as a performer can work with any type of style, high-flying, powerhouses. The guy can work with any style.
Yeah, I think, because he has that sort of youthful look, doesn't he? Which sort of lends itself, and the way he wrestles and everything. I know, I don't know if it was us that talked about this before, with the fact that he's entered into the Gen X League, and he doesn't necessarily look like your sort of stereotypical cruiserweight, light heavyweight style wrestler, whatever that means in 2024. But he can. He can go into second, third, fourth gear. He can, speed up. To answer your question, yeah, absolutely. You could put him in any position, and I think it works. Whether he could be a babyface or not is probably another story, because I don't quite see it. But aside from that, yeah,
absolutely great match. Now we need to crown another champion. Now, we mentioned earlier on that Rio obviously bet Nina, which meant Lizzie versus Rio. And I've got to be honest, this match, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a massive fan again. But it felt like it got mixed, like, fan reactions from what I picked up. And I don't know what you think.
I think it was hot and it was late at this point. I think fans were becoming tired. I think again with Lizzie Evo, with her being the fresher wrestler, I don't know if it was in their mind, people's minds that this is inevitable, even though they wanted to get behind Rio and they really wanted her to win. It seemed that Lizzie may have had the upper hand slightly, but this, they still wrestled great 10-minute match, right?
10:35.
And yeah, Lizzie picking up the win, and hopefully, Rio will get another chance, another shot at the title. A fresher Rio. After perhaps not wrestling Nina Samuels earlier in the night, but doing double duty, with two wrestlers like that, of that caliber, women's wrestlers, the top women wrestlers in the country. Not many people can do that. So kudos to her.
Absolutely. And of course, you've still got the wild card, Alexis Falcon. Lizzie and Alexis will cross paths at some point, do you know what I mean, for this title. It's inevitable, let's be honest.
I hope so. Like I said, I don't know the status of Alexis' health, but let's hope that that's the case.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, Lizzie obviously won. I would have liked to obviously see Rio win, but it's one of those things where you mentioned there's a lot of different elements. That's like, will that wrestler be available? Do you know what I mean, there's so many factors when it comes to like a title, or any match.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of. I kind of identify with wrestlers when I mean, you've seen the Clash at the Castle press conference, right? With CM Punk, where he there was a fan that was saying about how him and Drew McIntyre should be Hell in the Cell, and he completely rubbished the idea and said, "I hope you never get to book a wrestling company." And I kind of related. I was howling in the living room over that one because. Look, we can all fantasy book, we can all come up with ideas and stuff, but you've got to remember there's another aspect to it. As you say, are people going to be available? We're dealing with real people as well. They've got their own ideas. They've got to look after their own careers. We're kind of playing with people's bodies, and it's not as simple as playing with figures or anything like that. I don't know if Rhea would be available in September, October next year. She's in high demand as well. Lizzie Evo seems committed. She seemed to, from day one, wanting to be the NGW Women's Champion. And I've seen her in multiple places now saying that she's going to be, that particular company's champion. And once she sets her sights on that, it happens for her. It happened in 1PW. It happens in What Culture Pro Wrestling. As a matter of fact, we were talking about that. I do remember after the event, and she mentioned, that she said, that strap's on my shelf, Stevie, still on about the What Culture Pro Wrestling title, and it's like, it really does mean something to her. So any idiot out there that wants to say that belts are props, they're talking rubbish. There's more to it than that. There really is. They do mean something. And the reasons can be as long as your leg, But on this occasion, Lizzie was determined to be the champion. And if it hadn't have happened last week, it would have probably happened, September, October, whenever. But there you go. She's a belt collector, isn't she?
Yeah, she's the true belt collector. The one thing I like about the first ever champion is that person could lose that title once, then it could pass it next person. Lizzie's still going to go down in history as the first, women's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the inaugural champion. Yeah. And she's got that at a few places as well. She's, I don't know if anyone's got the stats on something like that. I don't know if she's the person, the woman even with the most, first champion in the most places in the country. But I wouldn't be shocked at that statistic. If that's the case.
No, absolutely. So who knows? We've got one more match obviously to cover, then we'll also have a discussion about other stuff. It's of course the world title picture. Now, for some bizarre reason, I said a triple threat, and then I completely forgot about Sam Bailey.
I told you, didn't I? And I said he attacked Matt Myers after their match at the last event at the East Mount, and I was right. So it had to be a four-way.
Absolutely. And this is the only match on the card where I couldn't predict who was going to win. I mean, you've got, again, it kind of leads back to like the warfare thing. There's all these little elements. You've got Maxted, who never lost the title. Do you know what I mean? Sam just being Sam. Myers the fighting champion. Do you know what I mean? There's so many factors just with these four guys.
That's right. And I'll give you a little secret as well. I didn't know until the day, and I don't know if they announced this. I might be have been ignorant and completely missed the advertising. I don't know. But it was my belief that it wasn't an elimination match, and surprise, surprise, it was. So, if you see me talking to the referees and whatnot before I explain the rules, yeah, it was me discovering for the first time it was an elimination match. And, yeah, you've got 4 guys who I said earlier in the night. If you listen to what I said 4. And I was thinking about how I was going to approach this, coming out at the beginning of the event and announcing the event. But I made sure I was going to get that in straight away. 4 men who lay claim and have good reason to call themselves NGW champion, really, because Matt Myers, legally, in name, he is the champion. Sam Bailey is the former champion, but he feels he was robbed given what happened. If you remember, at Eternal Glory, he was injured. It wasn't quite the match he wanted when he made that title defense. Adam Flex Maxted never lost the title. Never technically. He just wasn't able to commit at the time to NGW, given what he's done, and we know all about his career. That's well documented. But he's back and he lays claim to being the real champion. And then there's Rampage as well, because he won the number 1 contendership. So it's I've always had a problem with, it's probably too harsh of a word to say problem, but I've always kind of been skeptical at people, promoters and bookers, whatever you want to call them, where there's been this is a 4-way match and there's been no reason. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, why? Why aren't you just doing a singles match? Why is this a 4-way? What's the purpose of this? What happens to whomever wins? What happens to the people who lose? There's got to be a good reason. And I think, this is a good example of where there is a good reason why 4 men are involved in the title picture, all laying claim to be the champion. The fans even disputing it. You've got 3 of them who get cheered, 3 of them who are fan favorites. But, as you'll have heard from the reactions, Maxted, massively popular. Well, he's the real champion. I remember even announcing that, saying when he couldn't make it, he will be in line for an opportunity for the championship when he comes back, because he never lost the title. I think the amazing Matt Myers, kids love him, families love him. Rampage is, just badass, and he's been there. He's been a mainstay for years at NGW, so they love him. And Sam Bailey, he's a prick, but he was the champion. He won the Destiny Rumble. So, when you have a situation like that, it's to me, okay, yeah, it's justifiable why this is a 4-way. Sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but does that make sense?
I think that's perfectly worded. So, Bailey obviously pinned Myers after interference from Brady Phillips again. And this is the only time of the night where I was like, oh, okay. I just didn't expect Myers going out first for some bizarre reason, but you want that reaction. You want that reaction anyway. And I think it was, 3 minutes 31, but you got to remember it was obviously injured back, for the first match.
Yeah, Brady's the one that's cost him the title, essentially. And there was you could hear in the building, I don't know where it was like where you sat, when I announced, that he was eliminated. It was a big gasp. Went quiet temporarily. People thinking, what happens now, and which is why I made the announcement. This means we will definitely see a new champion crowned tonight.
Yep, absolutely. And then obviously Bailey pinned Maxted, which was a bit of a shock, because I thought in the match I thought, okay, I thought Maxted obviously might win the title, but again, more interference, and then Brady Phillips's intentions became a bit clear.
That's right. Yeah, he gave the big, he cost Maxted the title as well, and then he hugs Sam Bailey. Referee doesn't know what to do, and you have a situation there where Sam Bailey and Brady Phillips have a relationship. I don't know what the extent of that is, but there you go. That it was the deal. Maybe he paid them off to take out Maxted and Myers as well.
But of course, it didn't work because Rampage obviously is crowned the champion. And when I think about it, like what he's been through and stuff like that with Ace, obviously winning the Rumble and stuff, the guy really deserves it. For me, you're as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, he made a comeback. He was gone for a while, and then he made the big comeback and got the reaction in the Destiny Rumble last year, I believe. Yeah, he's been a villain. He's been a rule breaker. He's been one of the favorites. I think, he's never changed as a character. Rampage, he's just badass, hits you hard, hits pile driver, hits the Dr. Bomb, whatever you want to call it. And he just means business. He's been around a while, and he deserves to be the champion right now, I think. And it was a surprise call. I thought honestly, in the car driving down there, I really believed Myers was going to retain the title, and it didn't happen.
Not at all. The thing is, I mean, with Rampage, a lot of people's praised him obviously as a tutor as well during his training school.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere in the Northeast, if anybody wanted to train to be a professional wrestler, I'd send them straight to Rampage. I've known him for a long time now. He was out. It's no secret. It was I was with him a lot last Friday, and great guy. And if you want to do this properly, he's one of the best people to go to.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, after the match, we obviously saw a nice little appearance from the new gen. And it kind of put the title question into a bigger picture because now Miles has made his intentions. He's got the big win, obviously, against Cruz. So now it's like, okay, who's going for the world title? Is it Miles? Is it going to be some of these guys who's in the match? It throws the title picture completely wide open.
It does, but Miles came and he had the rivalry with Nathan Cruz, and now that's done. Now he's defeated Nathan Cruz. It was team warfare, but he does have a pinfall victory over him. And using that, somebody who's been such a mainstay in NGW and NGW original, and as I've said many times, perhaps nobody's more synonymous with that term than Nathan Cruz. And to beat Nathan Cruz, who do you think of when you think of NGW? Well, you might think of Matt Myers, but next you think of Rampage Brown. So, those three, including Nathan Cruz there, I think are very much the names of NGW. So yeah, I've defeated Nathan Cruz. Now I'm going to go after the champion. It is Rampage, and wouldn't that be something if Miles came and was somehow able to defeat Rampage? He might need some moral support, so to speak. I'm not saying what might happen here, but that's going to be on the cards, isn't it? The big event later this year. I don't know if that'll be the case, but we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. The one person I obviously want to go back to, obviously, while we're here, is Brady Phillips. Obviously, it's his first time ever seen NGW, I presume.
I would have to double check that.
But right, okay. But like, I think it is. But like on his first night, obviously in NGW, he's made enemies with Myers, Maxted. Do you know, he's made a lot of enemies on his first night, so I've got a feeling a lot of people's going to be gunning for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fresh face now, and you seen him in his interference, and he's there with Sam Bailey. Obviously, he has some sort of contract with NGW, I guess. So, what's he going to do next? What's his intent? I would assume Maxted's not too happy about what happened, so he's going to be going after Brady Phillips, but so is the amazing Matt Myers. And I don't know if Myers looked hurt when he was leaving. I don't know if he's limping. I don't know if he's going to be on the shelf for a while. That was what I summarized from that. But we'll hopefully have a card announced soon for September and find out exactly what his status is and what's going on there. But I think those are big matches down the line. Possibly even a tag team match. Maybe Myers and Maxted teaming. And I'm just throwing this out there. I really don't know what the plans are. But you could see that, against Sam Bailey and Brady Phillips. That would make a lot of sense to me, but we'll see.
Absolutely. One of the biggest talking points when I came out of this show was you had stories finished, but you've also got a lot of fresh ones now, beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, it was the Ultimate Showdown, but we're heading towards Eternal Glory, the big one in October 18th, I think it is. And Friday the 18th. Yeah, Friday the 18th of October. And there's a lot already that you could, fantasy book or try and work out what that card might be.
I've tried that once and it never works.
We've tried it. I mean, I told you. I said, I don't think it's a triple threat.
Moral of the story, listen to Stevie Aaron.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but...
dear. Now, you mentioned, obviously, the one in October and stuff. Now, this is obviously the two shows you're on about there. Collision Course, obviously, on Sunday, 8th of September. It's a Sunday. That feels weird. I've never seen a Sunday show for NGW at the minute.
No, we used to do them quite regularly when those were at in other locations, I should say. But yeah, not at the Eastmount Centre. That's quite unusual, but it will be this year. Yeah, Sunday the 8th of September for Collision Course again, a name that's been used before, a regular name for NGW, and then of course Eternal Glory Friday the 18th of October. That's a big one, Hull City Hall. But the Eastmount, a more intimate atmosphere. Eternal Glory, the biggest show, so to speak.
And as you can see, there's some big names here: Bailey, Scotty Rock, Lizzie is always. Lizzie is always obviously Eternal Glory. Robbie X again. I mean, there's some big names here. So I think one thing we can take away from here is fantasy booking.
Yeah, I mean, have a go to see what you think. I don't know. You'll have to wait and see. I mean, looking at the names that are there, it could be all kinds of things given the direction of the company. But surely Miles and Miles Kamen and Rampage is going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you mentioned there obviously the direction of the company. Now, obviously, you're a big part of that. And what's that like for you? Do you know being a part of that? Do you know the direction?
Oh, it's great. I've been around for a long time with NGW. I wasn't quite there at the beginning, but I kind of was, if you remember, when we had the discussion about taking these young kids a ring back in 2008. But yeah, to have been a part of NGW for, as a ring announcer for a decade is, it does mean a lot to me because it's a great atmosphere. I love the Hull City Hall. I love the way they do the presentation, as you've said, the production values. I give a shout out to Simon because he's so great at that. But before I get to come out and you filmed my entrance, that's my favorite moment. The anticipation, the calm before the storm. It's like when you're at a gig and the music fades and the lights come down and everything, and everyone gets really excited. To be a part of something like that and to go out and the thing is, what we're told at NGW. By the man that's pulling the strings, so to speak, and I won't embarrass him here, but he gives good speeches before each event, and he always says, enjoy it, and I love that. He's like, just obviously, be aware of what you're doing and everything, but just enjoy it. So sometimes, even though I've got this, a few things that I'm planning to say, and I never quite know how it's going to come out. It's good just to, if you watch me, I stand back and just experience it and just see where everybody is, look around the building and just enjoy it for a moment or two before getting down to business.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a great show. But there's a lot of people, though, who's obviously not familiar with NGW. Again, it leads back to obviously that online presence a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're in Hull, you've got a different perception of it, and it is a bigger deal to those local fans. But I love that. I love being a part of something, and yeah, they've as I announced, there's going to be more regularity on YouTube now. There's going to be more footage shown. As you've seen the cage match, it is available to view for everybody from Eternal Glory last year. There's going to be more stuff. So hopefully more people will get to watch NGW than ever going forward.
Absolutely. What's obviously your favourite highlights from the night? We haven't spoke about
that. Some of the highlights from the night. Again, I like you said, that I love the reactions, whether it's good or bad. I really love the countdowns on when you do those kind of matches. Like the team warfare match where people are counting down with the timer, seeing who's next. When somebody gets eliminated, the reactions, whether it's good or bad or indifferent or it's just noise, as it was with Brady Phillips. Interesting to see what kind of reaction that Rampage was going to get after everything that had happened. And you hear a few sighs in the crowd when Brady Phillips has been involved. Everybody assumes that, oh, Sam Bailey's going to win the title again. And then all of a sudden, Rampage fires back. It's his finish. 1, 2, 3, gets the big reaction. And it's awesome, And I think as well as you've seen, we had to cut short the interval when we're doing pictures in the ring, after that emotional moment with Styx was something I'm never going to forget. The fact that, you had Colossus and Cruz and Dara as well, talking about, what an impact Styx had made on them. and it was really heartfelt, and everybody lining up to get pictures, and then we're going to have to cut this short because we need to continue with the event. And there was a few disappointed people, but you're like, no, don't worry, stick around. And then, I was waiting for Rampage a good 2 hours after the event because he was meeting fans and he was, doing the meet and greet. And they're so dedicated that we were waiting that long to get out of there, because it's like, heck, where's Rampage? He's still doing pictures. Okay, he's still meeting fans. And it's like, man, it really means something to them, which is awesome to see. So even though it might not have the presence as places that don't do as well, don't even do half as well as NGW, it's cool when you're there, when you're in the moment. And hopefully, the only way is up, so to speak, to be, another cliche-ridden monster. But we'll just have to see what happens.
What was Rampage like on the drive back? Obviously after the title win.
Oh, it was great. I mean, we shoot the breeze, so to speak, and see, wonder where things are going and everything. And I think he's just appreciative of what he means to that company. And he does mean a lot. And I think I think that's obvious. But yeah. It's a fun journey home, fun person to be around, and we had a good laugh.
Awesome. And one final thing, and obviously we'll wind down a little bit. Every review show I do what we call a performer of the night. So I'm going to see if you agree with what I picked. Who was your performer of the night?
Brady Phil? No. Interference. That's a difficult one. It might be Miles on this occasion. It might be Miles Kamen for doing that, for just doing the 30 minutes. There's somebody else I'm thinking of as well, but just for doing that 31 minutes in a match, with 7 other people as well. Granted, some of them are his teammates, but I mean that's tough going. Fair play to him.
And this is why me and you get along so well, because I went for Miles as well.
There you go.
Dear. It's right.
He had the longest match. He was in there the longest time. He had, he was doing so much in that match, and he pulled it off. And he's still getting booed. There's very few people that were appreciating the fact that he was out there 30 minutes, and I mean that in the best way. Given his persona and what he does and everything. Be interesting to see if he can pull it off and become NGW champion. We'll just have to wait and see.
I can imagine. I can't wait for that reaction. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I think everybody in that match really played a part, because, like I said, we talked about it earlier, all the elements and stuff like that. The thing with sticks, for me, I think that match as a whole has to be my match of the night.
Yeah, I agree. And I quite like the rules as well, because I love the fact that you can be counted out or DQ'd, and, there's other factors in there. It's not just a single pinfall. It's elimination, and different things can happen, and it's just a very different kind of match. I mean, it sounds so simple just to say, well, it's like War Games, but it's elimination. But it just makes the whole dynamic very different, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll obviously wind down a little bit now. So of course, NGW returns to the. Do you know what, Steve? I'll let you do all this bit.
Okay, well, NGW is back Sunday, the 8th of September, returning to the intimate atmosphere of the Eastmount Centre in Hull. There's limited seats available. I don't know how many seats are available now. I don't know if it's sold out or what. I don't think they've made an announcement on this. But look online, do a search, NGW, New Generation Wrestling, for Collision Course. And then from there, the big one at the Hull City Hall. It's one of our biggest events of the year. Friday, the 18th of October, Friday night, Eternal Glory. Again, we had over 800 people there last week. We might have even more for Eternal Glory. They might open that section, which they have done. It's right at the top of the Hull City Hall. And it's such a great venue. I don't know what your feelings are on the Hull City Hall, and we haven't really spoke much about that, but I will say I appreciate it just because of the size of backstage, for lack of a better word, because there is, there's a big area, there's real changing rooms, there's showers, there's everything. It's huge. It's obviously a big venue for. There's been big bands there and different acts from around the world and all sorts. So it does make a difference, and just the look of it in pictures. I know you've got a background here. I don't know how well you can see that, but the green. I always thought it looked cool on when NGW was on Challenge TV. Just seeing it because it adds so much atmosphere. It's got when they say that some buildings are kind of like their own character, or films where the vehicle is like its own character. It's kind of like that. It adds so much to NGW and the look of NGW. So I really love the whole City Hall. I think it's so unique.
The one thing I like is, obviously, you mentioned there, I've been to obviously many venues. I've been to obviously schools for one promotion. I've been to like training schools. And the one thing I like about obviously the whole City Hall is the entrance to get into there was so easy. It was scan, up the doors, turn, we're there. Simple as that.
It's easier for you than me because I've got to go around the back and it's different.
Yeah. The only downside I've got with the whole City Hall, and I'm not knocking them, by the way, do you know what I mean? It's just the distance between the seating, because when somebody's trying to get by, you literally like going to sit on the chair.
Well, look at the picture here. I mean, people are crammed in. They really are. And, they fill that place out, and it looks great in pictures. Sometimes when I come out, I do wonder how many people are out there because I've got a different sort of perspective than everybody else. But when you see pictures like that, it kind of makes me appreciate it more.
I mean, the thing is, even though obviously you are crammed in, you get that atmosphere, do you know what I mean, and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. You can hear what people are thinking, so to speak. It's a great atmosphere, particularly when something's going down well, when there's a positive or negative reaction, you can really hear it.
Absolutely. So of course, the Magic of Wrestling has got quite a lot more things up for the rest of the month. You mentioned Katie earlier on. She's obviously on the show next week. I'm excited for that.
I hope she's watching.
She might be. I don't know. Dear. The week after, we're doing a pre-show for another show, which, Stevie, I know you're going to be a part of that one.
Oh, wow. We're back on with this. With Benji as well. Yeah, Wrestling in Newcastle. Tickets available for that as well. The big summer event, and do a search and find out more about that. And, they've just released more media here on YouTube. I won't speak too much about them because it's the NGW show. But, Wrestling in Newcastle. Do a search on YouTube. They've just added last month's event, which you were at, Settle the Score.
Yep, so, I was.
Summertime Showdown coming up in August, so we'll talk about that.
Yep, and of course, the one after that is somebody who I'm quite scared to talk to is Isaac North.
What's he going to say?
I don't know.
What's he going to do?
Oh, dear. We've obviously got loads more lined up for August, but check out our socials for that. And Magical Wrestling is back this weekend, Stevie, and I did kind of pre-warn you for this one. We're looking at years in wrestling, 1983 and 1993. The reason these 2 years are obviously there is, one is 93 when I was born, 83 is when Mr. Isaac was born.
Oh, I thought you were going to let me guess then. I thought you were going to let me guess who was born in 83 and who was 93.
Dear. So Stevie, to end the show, one moment from in wrestling when you was born. Go.
Okay, so it's just before I was born, actually, because it was in the March of this particular year. But this was the year that the Worldwide Wrestling Federation became just the World Wrestling Federation. So it was
really?
So it was a big year in terms of rebranding, so to speak. And obviously at the time, nobody knew where that was going to go, what was going to quite happen with that name change. But that's the year I was born.
Interesting. I'm going to find that thing now when WWF became WWE. Yeah, something like that.
Give the people some research, Liam.
There you go. Let us know in the comments what year he's referring to.
Someone will put 1802 or something.
I said to Mr. Isaacs 1861, and he actually Googled 1861 in wrestling. I don't know what
we used to put, the old Pro Wrestling Illustrated when they did the almanacs, and it went year by year, and it skipped lots of years because obviously nothing was happening in pro wrestling up until the 50s or 60s or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. I think more happens these days than it used to. Put it that way.
Absolutely, Stevie. Thank you as always to have a chat. I mean, we could chat for hours about absolutely everything. So, any final words before we head off?
No, just if for those who are watching, check out NGW, check out wrestling in Newcastle as well. I think the important thing, check out British wrestling. No matter where you are, it'd be great if you could come to Hull just to experience it, because it is different. And as Liam says, I think part of the attraction of NGW is just because of how passionate the fans are about it, and how much they know about it, and how much they're invested in wrestling, and in NGW in particular, they know everything that's going on. So I do feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, but if when you go to one of these events, if you're not familiar with what's happening, if the person sat next to you is reacting a certain way, it definitely helps, because they're not, it's Matthews, everybody hits him, Matt he's my hero, he's the local champion, and things like that. They know exactly what's happening, and that's always cool, and it makes my job so much easier as well. And I'm not, stood there feeling I have to explain, what's been happening, who this person is, who that person is. The people know, so it's cool.
Cheers for watching, guys.